The anime, world class, one of the best. Season 2 and the Shibuya Incident arc specifically, world class, one of the best. The rest of the manga. Well, now it's time for me to find out. I'm going to review every arc left in the manga up until I am fully caught up, and the next arcs on the list are the Itadori's Extermination Arc and the Perfect Preparation Arc. Of course, the Shibuya Incident arc shook things up massively. There will be manga spoilers from here on out, so now it's time for the aftermath and the fallout of everything that happened there, including, most importantly, as the name of the arc says, the ordered execution of Itadori Yuji. But actually, we've already seen part of the Itadori Extermination arc, because following the Jujutsu Kaisen wiki, this arc begins with chapter 137, which was adapted as part of the final episode of the second season, but I did kind of breeze past this part in my Shibuya Incident review video, so I will include that here as a part of this arc's review, but in more detail. So, we begin with a shot of Shibuya and what is a big black void of pure darkness, and if that isn't the perfect metaphor of what the Jujutsu world is currently feeling / going through right now. The situation is at an all-time low, and then the next 3 pages of scattered speech bubbles of people just panicking really does show that it's just pure chaos right now. It's almost overwhelming, disembodied voices who don't know what to do. That's how you portray a situation as really bad, and especially after Shibuya, it's nice to see the world outside of our main cast, or the Jujutsu sorcerers, reacting to what's just happened. And as for how the anime adapted it, having it drawn out definitely helped, because no way was anyone going to be able to understand 15 different people talking over each other at one point, and the choice to not include any music was definitely the way to go. It's also in this chapter where Yuta actually returns and saves the little girl, and we get the 5-point notice from Jujutsu headquarters. And now, with the first chapter out of the way, I want to talk about the art. It is obviously not the greatest or most detailed art I've ever seen, but I really am a fan of the sharp, jagged sort of style the manga has. I think it complements the tone of the story really nicely. But moving on, we get more of the Zenin clan, and this makes me so happy because we often hear about the 3 great sorcerer families in the Jujutsu world, and I am always eager to learn more about them. Naobito is dead, so add another to the casualties list, so the next head of the clan is to be decided, and the standout character here is obviously Naoya Zenin. He seems like a typical charismatic bad boy who is up to no good, and if I'm being honest, I really did enjoy the fact that he lost against Choso in their fight, since outside of being a cool third party outside interference with Yuji and Yuta, I didn't really have any strong feelings towards him at this point in time, and I would say I would be looking forward to him in the future, but stuff happens. And the big takeaway here is that due to these circumstances, it's Megumi who is now head of the Zenin clan. Now, in the Shibuya review, I said that Megumi was being saved for something big, and I would be praising myself right now if it weren't for that same thing that happens later on with the Zenin clan in the Perfect Preparation arc, so stay tuned for that. And one more thing that was included in the anime was Yuki's proclamation of confronting Tengen, which was in chapter 138. My best guess is that it was to build up anticipation and hype for the rest of the story with the Tengen name drop, and I guess I could say that it did work since I am currently reading the manga. And now we are back with Yuji and Choso, who are being pursued by Yuta for the execution and Naoya for his connection to Megumi. And it's nice to see Yuji sporting scars from his battles in Shibuya. That's another thing that most series don't do, have permanent changes to characters after major conflicts. It's not a major thing obviously, but it's a nice little detail you learn to appreciate. Anyway, Choso takes on Naoya like I said, and Yuji fights Yuta, the cool dynamic being that Yuta and Yuji are opposites, and although Yuta is definitely not as strong as Gojo, we see that he is still a force to be reckoned with in this fight. From what I read, Yuji didn't really have a chance here, and I haven't mentioned that Rika is still around. I wonder what that's about. And Yuta does come out on top. Choso is also winning until Yuta steps in, and on Choso, he has quickly become one of my favourite characters, surprisingly, and I'll get into that later. We get the revelation that Yuta is in fact not going after Yuji, but he is on our side at Gojo's request. This was something I did see as a possibility, but I commend the story for making me think otherwise and believing that Yuta was actually against us. Although, I would say that this was resolved very quickly. Like, I came off the second season to the manga and the situation was sorted almost straight away. Maybe that was on purpose so we can get on with it, but it felt very snappy. Megumi is here and we get the rules of the culling game. Oh yeah, we also see a small flashback. Looks like Yuji and Choso are brothers after all, but that guy is Yuji's mother. Okay, sure, why not? I refuse to get into the details of how Yuji was born. Kenjaku, his true name we learn later. I do wonder if he has any other kids throughout his lifetime since he is 1,000 years old. But now we move on to the perfect preparation arc. We get more of Sukuna plotting something involving Megumi and I'm just racking my brain trying to figure out why. My best guess is that it links to what Gojo said about the 10 Shadows user and their strength, so I'm assuming Sukuna wants to get Megumi to that point of power, that level, to try and manipulate or recruit him or something. The recruiting part doesn't sound likely if I'm being honest, but that's the best thing I can think of. And Yuji says that Yuta can kill him if he turns into Sukuna. Now I said that I don't think Yuta is on Gojo's level, but that is some statement to say that Yuta can handle Sukuna, especially after what he did in the Shibuya Incident. I don't know if I'm underestimating him at all, but we are talking about the King of Curses here. And I do not know how to interpret Yuji's reaction after he asked about Kugisaki. Here I would think he's found out she's dead, but here he seems determined. So either she is alive and he was just overwhelmed at first, or she is dead but he's stopping himself from breaking down. So what I'm trying to say is, I have no clue about Nobara's current status here. And Maki is alive, and just like I said with Yuji, it is so cool to see her with that scarring and short hair, presumably because it got burnt. She may be alive, but there were still consequences. But unlike Yuji, this is a major change in her character design, so props to Gege Akutami for going ahead with this. There were probably some simps out there who were upset, but I think this was the right choice. And now back to Choso. Yuji tells everyone to refer to him as his big brother, and his reaction. Remember when Endeavor shouted Shoto's name in My Hero Academia? I'm imagining this is very similar. But Choso himself, before I only viewed him as an okay side villain with some cool abilities, but since then he has grown on me so much. Take this scene, or the one where he proclaims himself as the eldest of 10 siblings, which includes Yuji. He's just so wholesome now. I mean, he even cries when him and Yuji part ways later, and Yuji pretty much accepting him as his big brother. That made my heart grow 3 sizes. And we finally meet Master Tengen himself, whose design is not what I expected. But when I think about the reason he needed the Star Plasma vessel to halt his own evolution, I actually don't mind it. This is a result of his evolution past humanity. And speaking of evolution, Kenjaku's plan is to evolve all of humanity, to which Tengen is key. And he's apparently tried in the past, and he's been involved with Sukuna. So that is a direct confrontation I now want to see. But we have a new character, Hana Kurusu, who is the key to freeing Gojo apparently. And given the fact that she is also 1000 years old, I am expecting she has some history with either Sukuna or Kenjaku or both. And from the explanation for the culling game given from Tengen, I am putting together that the game itself is the next step in putting Kenjaku's plan in place. And my favorite thing about this is the rule that states you can add new rules, and the reason why I like it so much is because with a set of predetermined rules, there's a chance things can become boring or even predictable. But just like Tengen and Kenjaku's plan, the culling game will evolve as we get further into it, and that definitely piques my interest. And then this guy, he looks traumatized. He's the second guy taking part in the games we've been introduced to. And one of my worries going forward is that I hope any future editions will get the page time that they need to feel like fleshed out characters, since I'm assuming there's gonna be a lot. And talking about fleshed out characters, next is the death of Masamichi Yaga. Again, no one is safe, but in this case I really wish we got to see more of him, both his ability and relationship with Panda. What we got in this chapter only amplifies that. I was really into the talk he was having with what they said was Kusakabe's nephew Takeru, and with all of the rest of those cursed corpses. Their innocence was both bright and depressing simultaneously, and I would have loved to see more of said relationship with Panda. But he did tell of the secret behind Panda's existence, so maybe there still is more yet to come. And there was more discussion on the soul in this chapter, which is what I was hoping for after Shibuya. And regarding how Yaga's death actually played out, it did hurt. Seeing the whole situation with Kusakabe's nephew's soul being replicated to create Takeru, I heard in another video that there are implications that Panda contains part of Yaga's own son, which just makes it hurt all the more. But with this death, here's my biggest issue. It does make sense, like these are the ramifications of Gojo Satoru not being around to protect everyone. The reason why his death saddened me wasn't because he was the one who died, but it was because of his relationships with Takeru, with the cursed corpses, and with Panda, which is why I said that I wanted to see more of him, to build up his character. So what I'm saying is that my other big worry moving forward is that I hope deaths aren't just used to portray stakes or shock factor, because the death of a character won't mean anything if we don't feel attached to them, if we haven't been with them long enough or learned enough about them to care about them. But anyway, remember what I said about something happening to the Zenin clan? Well, here we are now, and it's Maki versus the Zenin clan, and this was crazy. Mai is gone, so that's another check in the death column, and I think this was very sweet. I could say the same thing about this death as I did with Yaga's death, but with the explanation of twins being counted as one, Mai sacrificed herself for the sake of her sister, which I think was nice. But Maki's father's reaction to her newfound power and its similarities to Toji before she chops off his head before dealing with the rest of them, just beautiful. The way Maki was portrayed as pretty much a demon was amazing. Now I know she is still on our side, but this parallel she now shares with Toji, I wonder where that will lead. I don't know if she's as powerful as Toji was or not, but her newfound level of strength through the heavenly restriction is a force to be reckoned with. And never mind what I said about seeing more of Naoya, because now he's also dead. But anyway, I guess Megumi no longer has a clan to be the head of, and now we are down to 2 sorcerer families. But realistically, I'm going to say 1, because are we ever going to get anything from the Gojo clan outside of Gojo himself? I mean, not that we've gotten much out of the Kamo clan either. But anyway, it can't be understated how big this is in the Jujutsu world. Maki straight up Itachiing her entire clan. I don't see the Zenin clan getting replaced, since we haven't gotten much if anything from the other 2 clans yet, like I said. But I hope this does cause the Kamo and Gojo families to take action themselves. And her whole demeanor has changed. Like I said previously with Toji, I wonder if this newfound personality will persist even when she's interacting with her friends and the main cast. And that leads us now to the last part of this arc, which is dedicated to the recruitment of Kinji Hakari. He is a suspended 3rd year, and he was mentioned very early on in the story, so that's a nice little breadcrumb. And alongside Hakari is Hoshi Kirara, who is a trap. I just thought that was worth mentioning. And they run fight gambling matches between sorcerers. While talking to Itadori, he brings up passion or fever depending on the translation, and I am seeing this thing with passion as Hakari's equivalent to Todo's or Yuki's what's your type. I don't think that will lead anywhere, but the fake memories of Todo and Choso led somewhere, so maybe this tenuous link I just created might mean something. And I am a big fan of the way he deciphered Yuji's lies by asking him about Gojo by double bluffing his knowledge on him. That was a great touch, because I feel like that's something I would do, or you would do, or maybe we have done. And we learn about Jujutsu politics, yay! To be honest though, fictional politics are always way more interesting than real world politics, especially when the in-world rules and abilities are taken into account. The reason for suspension was a disagreement over what I will eloquently label as the way of the Jujutsu. We get more fun techniques like Kirara's 5-star order ability and some Sherlock level deciphering from Megumi to figure it out. And ever since the I have no enemies moment from Thorfinn in Vinland Saga, I have been partial to the punching bag negotiation technique, I think I'll call it. So Yuji taking Hakari's hit with that fierce look in his eyes was great. And once everyone is caught up on the situation, the culling game has already begun in the background, with a new rule being added where players' info can be viewed. Added by the latest addition, Kashimo Hajime, who is looking for Sukuna. Considering he killed enough people to gain the required points to add a rule, I guess he is pretty strong, but Sukuna, I do not think he's that strong. So I wonder what he's planning, but our target is not just him but also someone else with 100 points, Higuruma Hiromi, to add the rules of allowing the transfer of points and using them to exit the games. And now we have reached chapter 159, the beginning of the Culling game arc. From all of this setup we have gotten and the little I have heard online, I'm expecting big things and I am confident that it will meet my expectations. As for the material I covered in this video, I thoroughly enjoyed myself, and as always the different mechanics of the stories keep on giving. Seeing our cast already scheming and strategizing over what their next course of action will be is already filling me with excitement, and I cannot wait to keep on reading.